Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Footy GameDay Squad show. I'm your host Cal, and joining me today I've got Tom and I've got Kerm as we're here to break down everything AFL fantasy ahead of round 12. Fellas, how are we this evening?
Really good. I'm so keen to get stuck into talking some round 12 footy. First bye week of the round, less games, we can focus on more players this week. So yeah, keen to get stuck into it.
Yeah, mate, and I just can't believe we're already at round 12. It felt like we started doing the recordings just yesterday for round 1 and the preseason stuff, and here we are in the juicy part of the season. Let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into it though, we are here because of GameDay Squad, currently Australia's only fantasy sport platform launched using blockchain technology. Make sure you're keeping up to date with all our socials and everything in particular happening on our Discord, as we're expecting to have some big news drop at the start of next week. So keep your eyes out peeled for that. We're super excited to be able to share what we've got coming up. So yeah, make sure you're on top of all of that. But guys, we're here to do our preview show. As we always start, Kerm, we throw it to you and you give us some news.
I will, and I had to dig deep a little bit for this round. There's not a lot of news going with only the 6 games being played this week, but the big news of the week is that Bailey Smith should absolutely be back for the Doggies after he had the flu last week. It was said to be a pretty hard bout with the flu, hence why he missed, but he should definitely be back this week. And following on from last week, Christian Salem, Ed Langdon, and James Harms are all available for selection this week for the Demons. Demons had a loss last week, lost their streak against Freo, but those inclusions there should definitely help them back on their way as premiership players, all 3 of them, I believe. So that'll be big for them, not that they really need it. The Swans, no, not that they need any more help at all. The Swans have elected to challenge the suspension of Buddy Franklin for striking Trent Cotchin. We'll definitely keep an eye on the ground for that, an ear to the ground for that one, because I don't know if they're going to have much luck challenging that.
Yeah, I don't think they will. Fingers crossed, because with all those ins, I think the Swans need that to go their way. So
absolutely, and he'll have Stephen May or Jake Lever on him anyway, so that's a tough ask anyway. But without Buddy Franklin, that's an even steeper.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is May confirmed out because he had concussion, right? So he should miss this week.
Maybe. This is only fantasy relevant players. I didn't actually see much on Stephen May. Fantastic player, not fantasy relevant. Sorry, I'll shut up. Don't shut up. But dual Brownlow medalist Nat Fyfe isn't returning to AFL footy this week, but will play waffle footy and said to be playing AFL footy against Hawthorn next week. So
spicy.
Yeah,
wow.
Freo, after beating the Demons, could be getting maybe their best player of all time back. So yeah.
Wow. In the waffle too, damn.
Yeah, he's going to carve it up. He's apparently only playing 90 minutes, but that's going to be more than enough for him to get his hands on the footy.
Touches.
Yeah, that's all he's going there for. That's awesome to hear, though. Just Nat Fyfe, what a player when he's on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's awesome. That's it? That's all the news?
That's all I've got for the crystal ball this week.
Yeah, love it. A lot of news around that Melbourne-Sydney game. So I'm actually going to be down in Melbourne for that. So I'm hoping it's a good game. So fingers crossed. Maybe May is out and then Buddy's in, and then it makes things a bit easier. I know that's what you'd be hoping for, Tom, with your Swans.
Oh, absolutely, mate.
Let's get onto your pack opening of the week. What have you got for us this week?
Yeah, mate. So our pack of the week winner for week 12 is Ref 23. So congratulations on your 3x3 common player pack to help juice that team up a little bit further. In this pack, Ref 23 was able to grab 4 top 200 players in the comp at the moment, with Kelly being his best ranked player inside the top 60 overall. So it's a good pack, but to be honest, it doesn't stand out like other weeks. So guys, remember to submit your best packs through our Discord. The link is down below in the description, so go check it out. It's free to join. So why not? Yeah. Or alternatively, just message us on any of our socials, which are also down below. Again, everything is in the description, so go check it out. But yeah, congratulations to Ref23 for being the winner this week. And yeah, I'll check back in with you guys next week for our next winner.
Love it. Boom.
Yeah, nice. Interesting pack. What are your thoughts, Kerm?
I like it. Obviously, Tim Kelly's a big name there, but you got some good young talent. Callahan's a big talent down at GWS, and Toby Bedford's starting to play some good footy for Melbourne as well. So there's some good young talent there. Sydney Stack for Richmond, but obviously Tim Kelly is the big name there.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. And 5 gold packs in a common. You always love it. 5 gold players in a 9-player common. You love to see that too. Alrighty, it might be a bye round and there might only be 12 teams playing this week, but there's still a lot of questions we have to answer. Guys, who wants to pose one?
I'll start us off here, and it's going to be a ruck question because, as we know, it's been well documented that rucks in fantasy footy this year it's been a desolate wasteland. So much has happened. We've lost so many big names, but we really got to see Riley O'Brien step up when fantasy owners needed him probably most, and had a really, really big week last week after he got dropped to the South Australian Football League. He had a big day, almost 180 GDS fantasy points for 46 hitouts and 28 disposals, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And he carved it up in the SAFL as well. Absolutely massive day. So I want to see if he kicks along with it, because if he becomes a viable fantasy option that people can use consistently for the rest of the year, then that ruck problem is going to be solved for a lot of people. So we'll see what he does. But last week, if it's anything to go by, is promising signs.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good question to ask.
Yeah, mate.
Tom,
I've
what have you
steered away
got?
from the norm this week with my question, and I've looked at the schedule this weekend and have seen a Sunday special of the Brisbane Lions versus the Fremantle Dockers. So my question of the round is, will this be the best footy we watch all year? Because both teams right now are playing unbelievable, and I have a feeling that this game is going to be maybe the best.
I like that.
I like it.
At Optus Stadium as well. It's going to be a
huge.
big day.
I cannot wait to see this. The anticipation is already, I can feel it inside of me. I can't wait. Oh, yes.
Feel it in his bones.
Quick tips. Who are you picking?
Freo.
I'm going the upset. I think Freo will be the favourites. I'm going the Lions.
Oh.
I think the Lions will as well. As much as I love the Freo team, I think the Lions put down a statement here. Who better to do it than Freo and Freo after they just knocked off Melbourne? And I think the Lions announced themselves as we're the number 2 contender.
Locking here with a chip on his shoulder.
But it'll be a good one.
It's always a good storyline.
Oh yeah. Alrighty, and guys, for my question, I've actually done something a little bit different this week. I'm not going to pose a fantasy-related question. Yeah, I'm going to change it up. Middle of the year, I want to ask you guys, I want to put you on the spot and ask you, who's been your biggest fantasy surprise for the year? And who's been your biggest disappointment? So I've thrown that on you, so I'm going to give you a second to have a think of who you want. While you do that, I'm going to shout out my answers. I've got Nick Martin. I think he surprised everyone, so I think I'm taking the number 1 candidate there. 100 GDS points after 10 games, so he's had a massive sample size. It's not just a fluke. He looks legit. I watched him play against Port last week, and he looked very, very good. On the other side, though, I don't think it's any surprises to anyone that's been following this show that my biggest disappointment has been Jack Zeeble.
Yeah.
So I won't pile onto him because I've told myself I'm going to stop. But yeah, they're my two. What do you guys got?
I'll take Will Brodie as my biggest surprise. And as a Suns fan, you saw him not really get an opportunity with game time. They took him out of rotation and started playing him in the NEFL and the VFL last year. But Will Brodie has made a real big name for himself down at Freo and averaging almost 28 disposals, I think, but absolutely racking up the fantasy points as well. So Will Brodie, big surprise to me as a Suns fan to see him doing so well, and honestly hurts a bit. I don't like to watch Freo because he does kill it just about every week. So it just keeps happening. Just keeps happening. But my disappointment, I think, and we spoke about him in the last show, the review show from week 11, but Chad Wingard just hasn't been good for fantasy. His fantasy production has decreased tenfold as almost a 10. I think he was a top 10 player last year for the forward line.
Top 6?
Top 6, there you go.
Yeah.
So to have that regression at such a rapid rate, so sharp, Chad Wingard for me would be my biggest disappointment for a position in fantasy that really needed somebody to step up.
Yeah, and I'll go. My biggest surprise has been Dylan Moore from Hawthorn in the forward line there. Just really stepping up when Chad Wingard has seemed to step down. Your disappointment, Kerm. He's been playing awesome footy all year. He has regressed a little bit over the past couple of weeks, but he's so young, so talented. You really just back him in and feel like he's going to finish off the year strong. In terms of a disappointment, though, man, there's a couple candidates for this one. I won't go Zeeble, you've already said.
There are, right?
I want to say Dustin Martin, Bontempelli. Oh, man.
You get one.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't take them all.
I'm going to go Dustin Martin. Because you look at his fantasy production over the past couple of seasons and how good he has been, and he's a forward eligible player, and you really thought that this year he could lock in a top 4 for his position, and that just hasn't been the case at all. Since coming back, he hasn't been that outstanding player that took Richmond to a premiership only just a couple of years ago. So for me, has to be Dustin Martin as my biggest disappointment.
Fair. No, there's some good picks there. Well done. I also had a few down just in case you guys needed a bit of help. But honourable mentions to the surprise, I reckon John Newcomb as well and Tim English. They've both been massive surprises. Disappointment, someone we were massive on, Kerm. Zach Butters.
Yeah.
Where's he been? And on a personal note, I want to call out someone we haven't spoken about in quite a while. And I'm glad you brought it up, Kerm, because you're like, it hurts when you hear about these Suns. What about Huey Greenwood?
Yeah.
He has had a stinker of a year. And I'm looking at it, and the money that they're paying him in the Roos, I think the Suns dodged a massive bullet there.
We could have, yeah. And if the ascension of Noah Anderson wasn't so big as well, it would hurt a lot more. But Hugh Greenwood, he struggled to be on the park, and when he has played, he hasn't really had the impact on the game that I think North Melbourne were expecting him to have. So, yeah, maybe you're right, but who knows? He could have a really big end of the year.
Player the Suns let go of, mate, and it was for the best. Let's go. We always talk about the opposite.
Try to gas you up.
You just the pessimistic Suns fan in me hasn't left yet. You never know. You just never know as a Suns fan.
No, fair enough. We are going to move on, guys, to our rolling dream teams. So, who wants to kick this off?
I'll kick us off here. And I've kicked out Max Gawn, which could be controversial, but I can't ignore Tim English. He's come into my bench. He hasn't taken the starting role off Sean Darcy just yet. But that could definitely be on the horizon in the next few weeks because Tim English is the best ruckman in the league
for
fantasy,
right now for me. Mate, so you definitely make that case, 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely. Who would have thought?
Nobody was calling this. But Max Gawn is out, Tim English is in, and following on from last week, big call, could come back to bite me in the backside there. But Cal, you dropped your guy Paddy Cripps last week, and I was a little bit on the woo side, but I'm gonna do it this week. Paddy Cripps has left my team. I don't like the role he's playing. That weird sort of ruck, different role that he's playing is just not fantasy favourable at all. So yeah, I've kicked him out.
That's it.
It's not it. It's just not it. And I've brought in Lockie Neal, who is harsh not to be in my team already. But he is my Brownlow pick right now. So Lockie Neal is in my team. Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, mate. Really
what have you done, Tom?
I was considering trying to get Lockie Neal into the lineup this week. He was the one sub I was going to make, but I've refrained myself from making any subs. I want to, as they say, let the boys play. I don't mind the team that I've put together. And
he's put the whistle away.
I just haven't had a chance to see them, how they're going to perform yet altogether. I really like the squad. I'm starting to fall in love with a couple of players that I just can't let go of. So, mate, I haven't let anyone go this week. I'm very happy. But what about yourself, mate?
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, I like that. That's a huge zag. When everyone else in AFL Fantasy and Supercoach are panicking around the buys, Tom's just like, don't stress.
Chilling,
it's only my dream team. No, I love it. I have gone Rich out of my team, so I finally dropped him after talking about doing it for a while. But I can't look past a sub 50-point game, and I have no idea how he wasn't the dud of the week in that game. By the way, just shocking. But I'm going to bring someone back I never really enjoyed letting go, and that's Sam Doherty.
Nice.
So he's coming back to his form now that he was at the start of the season. So we know he has the potential to be that top 6 defender. So I'm bringing him in. Now, on the other side of my second trade, I've done the Carlton double. And this isn't a smart fantasy move, but one I just want to give a bit of reward to. I wanted to get Heaney out. That was my first thing. I'm like, I got to get Heaney out. If you want to know why, go back and watch my buy, hold, sell video in our review show. But the person I'm bringing in is Charlie Curnow. Now, I know he's not fantasy relevant, but I just love watching him play at the moment. So I'm going to use him as a placeholder on my bench until I find another forward. Because in my opinion, there's no one else banging on the door to try and get in that 6 of mine. So I'm like, you know what? Charlie Curnow can sit on the bench, kick a few goals for me, and then when I want to get rid of him, I'll find someone.
That's super, super interesting. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. It is interesting because he isn't when you think of Charlie Kerno, you don't think fantasy at all in the slightest. But as I said,
Isn't
I don't
that my
hate
guy,
that
Charlie
at all.
Cornrow?
Charlie
Cornrow, your boy.
Interesting, but I see the logic behind it. Yeah, just wait, sit patient. Like it.
Yeah. And what about hot seat, guys? We're going to move on to our next segment here. Who wants to throw someone in this bye week?
I'll kick us off for the hot seat, and I'm chucking in one of the Brisbane Lions' favourite sons, Dane Zorko. And he's coming off two pretty poor games against some teams that he really should have taken advantage of, and that's Hawthorn and GWS. But his role for me, in a fantasy sense, just isn't very favourable at all. And I've been off him a little bit just quietly the last sort of month and a half or so, because he is not really getting those CBAs, but playing a sort of hybrid defender and forward role. So he's spending time up front and spending time down back, which for me just doesn't really sit well with me. And I don't really want him to fall into this trap of getting into a lull, which we've seen Dane Zorko do time and time again, season after season, where he has that period in a season where he just doesn't hit the straps as much as he used to. And he is getting a little bit older as well, I must say. But Dane Zorko, if he can come back into form, I'll take him off the hot seat. But for me right now, after a couple of dud weeks, Dane Zorko is...
And that's fair enough. But, mate, who are you taking out of that midfield right now to give him more minutes? Like, I just can't see a situation where that changes.
I hoped when McCluggage went down that and went out of the game that Zorko would step up and get into the midfield, but they didn't even go anywhere near it.
It's all these weird roles they're starting to play people in.
Yeah.
Like these damn coaches.
Yeah, and
I
you see
heard
Jared
a few people
Berry
talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I heard someone say damn John Longmire. Did I even pronounce that right? Damn, that's a mouthful. Damn him for trying to win the game and putting Paddy Mills. Oh, you know what? I'll stop it. I'm not even going to try with this point. It clearly doesn't want to be. It doesn't want to be heard. So I'll just skip on. Tom, your hot seat.
Callum from GameDay Squad. After that abysmal performance, no, but on a more serious note, it's a bit contradicting to what I said before. Now, when I'm putting this person in the hot seat, it's not for an entire season. I'm looking at 3 weeks. It's Dylan Moore, my surprise of the season. And there's been a significant drop-off from the start of the season. If you look at his past 3 to 4 weeks compared to the start of the season, of course. He has had 2 of his worst 3 fantasy outings in the past 3 weeks alone, which that's not very good. And some of those are actually quite stinky, especially for his standard. With Hawthorn slowly dropping out of that top 8 race and the contention for finals footy, they're going to need to get things right soon, and getting Dylan Moore firing up, that's going to be a big part of it. So I'm interested to see how the next couple of weeks go for Dylan Moore. I'm still a huge believer, but I definitely don't want to be seeing those numbers he's been putting up over the past couple of weeks.
You're 100% right about Hawthorn dropping off in form and Dylan Moore at the same time. I think there is a huge correlation there. And I wrote about him in my Week 11 Risers and Fallers blog, and he was...
Go check it out. Will be in the description below.
Down below. But yeah, he definitely was a faller, because that drop-off from early season form to now has been
100
so
points
drastic.
A game to
it's
now
insane.
60. Around there, just not good enough, to be honest. But he'll work it out. He's a young gun. He's got it.
My hot seat. Well, first of all, I just want to say, if my audio has been playing up here, thank you so much for persisting. I've been getting some weird messages and some notes about echoes and things like that. So thank you so far for pushing on with this with me. Hopefully it is good though. But my hot seat this week, I'm feeling, still feeling a bit reckless. I'm changing things up with these bye weeks. I'm not going to put a player or a team, but I'm actually going to put the AFL as a league itself
taking on the footy, the AFL.
Okay.
Let me set you a scenario here. Right now, you have an almost 27-year-old Tim Kelly running around the Eagles, and almost 35-year-old Josh Kennedy at the moment. And we know the Eagles aren't anywhere close to a premiership right now. And then what about the Hawks? You just spoke about them falling off, but you've still got a 31-year-old Gunston who could be really valuable to a team if they were competing for a premiership right now. Or think about the Lions right now, who might actually, a win this weekend, they could see themselves as trading a future first pick away from competing with Melbourne on grand final day. And my hot seat this week and why they're there is because the AFL doesn't have a mid-season trade period.
Paddy
And I just think and I just feel we get robbed of having an awesome opportunity to have some really, really cool stuff happen in season. And like, I'd love to see Josh Kennedy actually have something to aim for this year and know that, hey, I can keep playing because someone might pick me up. Just gives, some of those older guys a bit of a reason to keep going and adds a bit of spice into it. And we all love the NBA. We're all massive fans of it. I'm sure you guys have heard us talk about it. Tom is a perfect example. We talk about it every show for the whole playoffs. But it's because they create content all year round. There's always something to think about. I'm a Thunder fan. I live off the future. And knowing that teams can do stuff and plan for it and constantly be in the media just gives us something we'll be a bit more excited about. So, yeah. Hot seat AFL, fix this up. We want a mid-season
just imagine,
trade
speaking
period.
of content, similar to Woj bombs. I'm not sure who would do it here in Australia, but at an AFL trade deadline,
Kerm bombs.
Kerm, our guy, giving Woj bombs about teams and players who have moved to contenders and picks being thrown around. I would eat that all up, mate. I would be frothing for trade deadline in the AFL. I totally agree.
I just think they need to Americanize it. It needs to be the American module that does it, because if you're going to use the NRL's version where they can trade players and not... the one thing, like, North Queenslander, NRL's everywhere, but you can't have a player who's going to sign for a club in 2024 and then expect him to play for that same club until then, you know what I mean? It needs
Bizarre, hey. You can sign like instant. 14 months in advance.
Exactly. I cannot understand how you can play for a club knowing that you're going to be playing for another badge in the next 12 months. It doesn't make sense to me. So if it's going to happen, Americanize it, because they do it best. American sports do most best. The AFL has done a good job, but everyone knows that American sports do it better than most other leagues. So for me, just steer away from the NRL setting of it, because it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, absolutely. If you agree with us, guys, make sure you give us a like. It does go a long way in helping support our channel.
All right, and we're going to get into Callum's stat of the week for the bye round. What have you got in store for us this week, mate?
Well, I love that it's my stat of the week, but this week I have stolen it again from my favourite person on Twitter.
What is
Jaden,
this?
I've got your at. So guys, go follow him. He does some incredible stuff. He posted this thing last week, or this week I should say. And basically what it is, on the left-hand side there, you've got the average AFL rating points per game. And across the bottom, you've got the different seasons. So obviously the higher rating points you get, the better game you've played. And you can see at the top, they've got some really big names. You can see where Bont was in his first year. You can see where Cripps was. And this is all rookies all rising star nominations, I should say. So you can kind of see where the big guys are at. Look at where Jai Newcomb is. Like, that
is incredible.
Insane.
He's on
It is
another level.
insane how good of a season he's having. Because right now we've talked about how good Nick Martin was as the surprise. And fantasy-wise, he definitely has been. He's having what you'd call a pretty good year. Like somewhere between the Paddy Cripps and less than the O'Mearas back in 2013. But still pretty darn good. But yeah, Jai Newcomb, just a different world at the moment. And surprisingly, Nick Dacos was a lot lower than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
So
Look at this, some of the names that Jai
me.
Newcomb is over here. You got Paddy Cripps, Callum Mills, Bontempelli, Jeremy Cameron, O'Meara. Like, those are some of the stars.
Sammy
of the
Walsh,
league. Sammy
yeah.
Walsh, stars of the league today. So that's a massive, massive shout.
The thing that stands out to me, I think, the most is a guy we haven't said his name in such a long time. So Fox Foot is not going to be happy about it. It's Jason Horne-Francis.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's
I'm
not
glad.
tracking too well in terms of this graph. Currently going to be third last for these ratings. So, yeah, we'll see how he sees it progresses, and maybe
he's
he can lift
saving
that.
himself before he comes over to Port, guys.
I
Don't stress.
hope
Don't
so, because
stress.
I was about to put him on the hot seat this week. I wanted to give him another one, but we got to start talking about him starting it up, stinking it up, I think.
Absolutely.
How much is... Yeah, it's like the nurture versus nature. And for me, it's just North Melbourne. This was my biggest concern. I'm like, this guy's a star. He will be ruined by North Melbourne. Get him out of there. I almost went to say I just want him at Adelaide at least, just to get him out of North Melbourne. I don't know if I'd bring myself to that. But yeah, anywhere else.
Hold your tongue.
But we won't keep piling on North. They've got enough stuff going on. So thank you again, Jaden. Awesome start. I love what he's done and doing there, guys. I'll keep looking for my own original stats, but I will pinch some good ones where I can. Tom, I'll throw to you because I know you're just on a roll at the moment. The Celtics are winning and you're locking in locks
Wrap
of
it
the
up,
week.
Tom.
Talk us through it.
Mate, I love this segment now. I didn't like it too much at the start of the year. I was getting stitched up by 1 and 2 points here and there. But last week, I nearly put the curse on Tuke Miller. But we have now found out that this curse is broken. 115 GameDay Squad fantasy points. And he has done that for me on the weekend in a great game. Yeah, I've done it again. I'm stringing these green names together.
He's
you can
happy with
see there on the
himself too,
list.
look at
It's just so good. It's so exciting. You love to bloody see it, and it's about time. But I thought to myself, why stop here? You know, 2's good, but you know what's better than 2 is 3's. And I'm going this week with a player who is in red-hot form, But the catch is, he's versing my team. And I don't love doing this, but I know he's going to eat up, and it's Clayton Oliver. So I'm locking him in for 115 GameDay Squad fantasy points.
low.
That seems to be my magic number this year, so I'm going to stick with that. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, mate, Clayton Oliver came into my best 22 last week. Now he's in my lock of the round for this week. Super excited.
I like that.
He's a good player.
I'll be at the game. I will let him know if he's not performing for you, Tom.
Yeah,
I will get live footage. Keep an eye on our TikTok, guys. I will be yelling out at him to pull his socks up if he's not working. Going back to the leaderboard, though, Kerm, we briefly saw it there before. You're still on top, but I'm catching you. What's happening? I think you've dudded it up a couple of weeks in a row, I think, and I've caught up. Talk us through it.
Yeah, so last week I had Brad Crouch, who absolutely dogged me. He didn't have a good week, and I thought with Jack Steele out, he was going to get a lot of the footy, but they sent some attention his way, and I had him for 110. He only got 106, I think. So, yeah, Brad Crouch was a big red for me. This week, I'm going to go back to one of my guys, and I've held this guy close to me all preseason, all season. I've not jumped off Sean Darcy Island all year, and I'm using him as my lock of the round this week. So
Whoa, against the Lions.
Against the Lions. I think he's going to have a big day. I think he will. I really do. So Sean Darcy, if he doesn't get me 116 GDS fantasy points, I might just jump off at that point. But until then, I'm going to ride it the whole way. So Sean Darcy, my guy.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. And mate, I know Callum, you questioned Kerm about his form, but I just want to throw it back 5 weeks ago when you were on top of the pedestal and you let us all know that you were too far ahead and that you were going to start doing some wonky picks to give us a chance to catch up. But how times have changed. Now Kerm is choking, and you love to see it. And
Watch Tom come back from the depths, honestly. Watch him come back.
Not happening.
But Callum.
Not happening. I'm going to go on a tear from here. Don't you worry.
Ooh,
My logic.
How are you going to get that started?
Well, first of all, actually, last week I went Trelaw. I needed someone to get me off my three misses in a row. He got 145 GDS points. I locked him in for 120, so that was an easy peasy one. My formula this week, though, because there's a few tough games, a few interesting matchups. So my formula was pretty much who's the most informed player with the best matchup, and I've landed on Rory Laird at home versus the Eagles. His last 3 games are over 125, so 110 should be nice and easy for him. I'm going to lock him in for that and hope he gets the job done.
He's an absolute stud. That's a good pick.
Yeah. And guys, as we're speaking right now, we are gearing up for the mid-season draft. So I'm super excited to come back and talk about who picked up anyone, if we think that anyone's going to be useful for that. Can we get another Jai Newcomb? This time 12 months ago, he was pick number 2 by the Hawks. Will we see something else special like that? But we'll have to wait and see, guys. That's been another episode of the Footy Game Day Squad Show. Thank you so much for listening this far. Make sure you keep getting involved. Everything we're doing, comments, Discord. We'd love to hear from you, how your GDS teams are going. And like I said, we are only maybe a weekend away from having some really, really big news. So we're super excited. So, guys, enjoy the first week of the bye weeks. Tom, Kerm, good luck with your Celtics. I'm sure you'll be able to tell. If you're not an NBA fan, you'll be able to tell how they're going against the Warriors just by watching this show. So thank you, everyone. Until next time, stay game day ready.